In the last 3 years, over 300,000 people have left Canada permanently. Not tourists, not students on a gap year. People who had PR, people who had citizenship. Some of them were born there. And here is what nobody on your immigration Facebook group is telling you. A lot of them left happy. They said leaving was the best decision of their life. So today, we're not going to talk about whether Canada is good or bad. We are going to talk about the truth that exists between those two things, because that truth is what will actually help you. Stay with me to the end, because the last point we cover is the one that nobody talks about, and it might be the most important one of all.
Point 1. The money trap. You will make more money. You just won't keep it. This is the part that breaks people. You arrive, you get a job, you see the salary in Canadian dollars, and it looks good. Then April comes, and you meet your tax bill for the first time. In Canada, the moment you start earning a decent income, not even rich income, just decent, you can be paying 30 to 43% in combined federal and provincial tax. Add HST on almost everything you buy. Add property tax. Add the fact that Canada has some of the highest phone bills in the entire world. Not in the region, in the world. And here is the part that stings. You look around and you can see the government is spending that money on infrastructure, on roads, on social services. So it is not being stolen. But when you are sending money home, paying rent that went up 40% in 2 years, covering car insurance, trying to save, you ask yourself a very honest question. Am I working for me or am I working for a system? The system in Canada is not designed to make you wealthy. It is designed to keep you stable. Those are two completely different things. And if your goal is wealth, you need to know that going in. Important nuance, though, and this matters. Where you live in Canada changes everything. Alberta has no provincial income tax. Edmonton and Calgary have average incomes that are genuinely higher, and housing that is genuinely affordable. A 4-bedroom house for $500,000 is possible there. The Canada that breaks people financially is almost always Toronto or Vancouver. If someone told you Canada is too expensive, ask them which city they were in, because that changes the entire story. Point 2. Healthcare reality. Free healthcare is real. The wait times are also real. Yes, healthcare is free at the point of use, and yes, that is genuinely valuable, especially for people coming from countries where a hospital visit can bankrupt a family. We are not dismissing that. But here's what the brochure does not tell you. The system is overwhelmed. You can wait 8 hours in an emergency room for something that's not complicated. You can wait 6 months to see a specialist. Some smaller cities and towns are so short-staffed that you can't even get a family doctor. You're on a wait list just to have a doctor, which means when something goes wrong, you go straight to emergency and wait again. One thing we want to correct that often gets said: private clinics do exist in Canada. They are not illegal, but they are limited, they're hard to navigate, and they're not as accessible in countries like the UK or the US, where private health care is a real parallel system. In Canada, money does not easily buy you a faster path. You largely wait like everyone else. Free health care is a blessing. Overwhelmed free health care with no private alternative is a different thing entirely. It's free, but your time is also worth something. Point 3. The invisible ceiling. Your credentials walked in, your career did not. This one hurts the most, and it is the one that sends people back home fastest. You leave your country as a senior manager, a medical doctor, a nurse, an accountant, an engineer with 15 years of experience. You arrive in Canada and you're told your qualifications need to be reevaluated. You need to do bridging programs. You need Canadian experience, which is a phrase that means we will not give you the experience, but we require the experience to give you the experience. Healthcare professionals have it particularly hard. Doctors from other countries often have to redo entire portions of their training. Nurses get reclassified. Even accountants sometimes have to retake exams. And so what happens? Proud, experienced professionals end up working in factories or driving for food delivery platforms, not because they aren't qualified, but because the system has not caught up with the talent it is importing. They do it for a year, sometimes two, and then something inside them breaks and they book a flight home. Canada asks for skilled workers, but arriving as a skilled worker and being treated as an entry-level one is something you need to prepare for mentally, or it will break you.
Point 4. Social reality. Canada is polite. It is not always warm. This is something that almost nobody talks about openly, and it is something that multiple people who left Canada mention when you ask them what they miss least. Canadians are famously polite, but there is a difference between politeness and genuine community. Many immigrants, and even born and raised Canadians, describe a kind of surface-level friendliness that never deepens. Neighbors who smile and wave, but do not open their doors. Colleagues who are pleasant at work, and strangers outside of it. A country where everyone is nice, but loneliness is epidemic. When you are an immigrant and you are already far from your family, far from the sounds and food and rhythms of home, that surface-level warmth starts to feel like a wall, a very polite wall. And after a few years, the loneliness gets heavy. I knew I was African before I came to Canada, but I did not know I was a minority until I got there. That shift in how you are perceived, it's something you carry every single day, even when nothing dramatic happens. This is not about dramatic racism. It's something quieter, the daily experience of being marked as different, of navigating spaces where you are always visibly an outsider. Over years, that weight accumulates, and for many people, going home means finally being able to put it down. Point 5. The work trap. You came for a better life. You found more work. Canadians hard work. Immigrants work even harder because they are carrying extra weight. Rent, bills, money home, and the pressure of justifying the move to everyone who believed in them. So they take extra shifts, they get second jobs, they stop going out because everything costs money they do not have. And here is the cruel irony. In many African and South American countries, you get 4 weeks of annual leave. In Canada, the legal minimum for new employees is 2 weeks. 2 weeks in a whole year to recover, to travel, to be human. And if you do take that vacation, you spend most of it recovering from exhaustion, or you spend every dollar you saved on an overpriced flight. People come to Canada for a better life. What many find is that they have traded one kind of hard for a different kind of hard, one that is harder to talk about, because at least this hard comes with a good postal code. The saddest version of this story is the immigrant parent who came to Canada for their children and then never sees their children because they are always at work to pay for the Canada their children live in. Point 6. The passport play. Some people never planned to stay. The Canadian passport is one of the most powerful travel documents on Earth. Visa-free or visa-on-arrival access to nearly 185 countries. And if we are being honest, for a significant portion of immigrants, that passport was always the goal. Not the picket fence, not the RRSP, the passport. Become a permanent resident, work, qualify, apply, get the passport, and then the world opens up. Some go to the United States, where salaries in the same field are dramatically higher. Some go to Europe. Some go home and build something with Canadian papers in their back pocket as security. There is nothing wrong with this.
Strategically using the immigration system the same way the system strategically uses you is not a betrayal. It is sense. Point 7. The uncomfortable mirror. The truth about running towards something versus running away from something. This is the point nobody wants to say out loud, but it got the most resonance in every conversation we have seen about this topic. Many people who leave their home countries are not moving toward opportunity, they are escaping something. Corruption, insecurity, scarcity. And Canada, clean, safe, stable Canada, looks like the answer. But what Canada cannot fix is a wound you brought with you. The loneliness you feel in Canada is partly Canada's coldness, yes, but it is also the distance from everything that ever made you feel whole. And then there is a harder question. If a generation of the most educated, most ambitious, most hard-working Africans, doctors, engineers, nurses, accountants, all leave and spend their best years building Western economies, what happens to the countries they left? Who builds those hospitals? Who starts those companies? Who trains the next generation? The grass is greener where you water it. That is not just a saying, it is a challenge. Because the same skill, the same energy, the same drive you are going to pour into surviving in Canada, imagine what it could build at home. This is not guilt. This is not stay and suffer. This is just a truth that deserves to be part of the conversation because many of the people who left Canada and said they were happiest were the ones who went back home and built something.
So, is Canada worth it? That is the wrong question. The right question is, worth it for what? Worth it to raise children in safety? Very possibly yes. Worth it to build generational wealth quickly? Probably not. Worth it if you are in healthcare and ready to start from scratch? Depends entirely on your resilience. Worth it if your goal was always the passport? Then do your math and go get it. Canada is a real place, not a dream, not a nightmare. It has cold winters, an overwhelmed healthcare system, brutal housing costs in its biggest cities, and a loneliness that creeps up on you slowly. It also has safety, infrastructure, multicultural communities, and a passport that opens the world. The people who thrive in Canada are usually the ones who went in clear-eyed, not dazzled, not desperate, just clear. Now, I want to hear from you. Are you in Canada right now? Are you considering going? Or did you already leave? Drop your story in the comments, not the highlight reel version, the real one. Because the most useful thing we can do for each other is tell the truth. If this video helped you think more clearly, share it with one person who needs to hear it before they make a major life decision. And subscribe, because we are just getting started on these conversations. I will see you in the next one.